This is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another shelf of many things, where I take a look at indie and small press role-playing games and role-playing and game accessories. This time I'm going to take a brief look at not one, but a collection of small products available on DriveThruRPG, Creature Feature Quarterly from Jeremy Hart. Each one is a volume of about a baker's dozen of monsters designed for 5th edition, although at least one volume has been available for OSR games as of this recording, and I think a second one is also available for the Black Hack. As of this recording, there are 5 volumes of Creature Feature Quarterly available on DriveThruRPG, with a 6th having recently been kickstarted at the end of 2019. Each collection thus far has been available in a printable format for ease of reference, although the last volume saw the availability of a more artwork-light zine-style format, so you can simply have the stats on hand. The creature art is still available in that package, which is good because with these products, the artwork is at least as much of a draw as the creature stats themselves. In fact, much of the art is available separately as stock art options. Each volume only consists of a few bucks for about 13 entries, and consists of the aforementioned creatures. I'm not going to go over them individually, as the list of creatures available in each volume is actually visible in the individual volumes preview on DriveThruRPG. All of the classic printable volumes share a similar format, with each creature's stat block presented neatly along with a full illustration in black and white line art, followed by a block of text that physically describes the creature, presents lore on the creature's origins and backgrounds, describes their ecology and how they handle the outside world and other creatures, then presents a few adventure or encounter seeds that give an idea on how to include the creature into your game. In terms of design, the creatures presented in these volumes range across a wide variety of levels, although extremely low and extremely high challenge ratings are somewhat limited, with the vast majority following in what you might call the middling range of challenge ratings. The creatures tend to fill a wide variety of roles as well, from melee to spellcasting and such, although classic fantasy tropes are fewer and further between in terms of actual creature design. You're not going to be finding any dragons and the like, but rather abominations, humanoids, dark fae, and undead occupy the lion's share of these creatures, along with a couple fiends, across all of the volumes. Thematically, the various creatures within Creature Feature Quarterly tend towards an almost horror theme, with a few actual representations of less common Cthulhu mythos creatures represented among them, and many of the creatures obviously inspired by that when they aren't directly taken from it. After perusing all of the available creatures in the 5 quarterly volumes, I'd almost say that they have almost expecting a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne style game, except on tabletop. And this goes well beyond simply the looks. I've noticed that the number of the designers who make a lot of the 5th edition creatures tend to have a sort of go-to method when they stat out their creatures. Some designers simply pump up the creature's damage as a way to make them more challenging. Some give them much higher defenses or so on and so forth. The creatures in the Creature Feature Quarterly seem to have a combination of special attacks that aren't merely damage, but either disable or provide interesting effects, as well as special movement options. The special modes of movement might include teleportation, leaping, charging, etc. Not all of the creatures have them, but a fair number do. This can result in a more dynamic fight with a lot more movement if you play them right. Nothing like a group closing in on a moderately challenging opponent, only to have it teleport behind them and start taking out their rear ranks, or to have a creature strike at them and then retreat via some sort of leap or something out of where the party can actually easily get to them. One of the main draws of these monster collections, however, is the artwork. It's not only available in the books, but also as a separate standalone illustrations, smaller graphics suitable for virtual tabletop tokens, as well as a print and cutout paper minis, all included in each volume's package. I wish more monster books would do something similar and have like the art separate so you can use them as handouts or as tokens. The art is invariably black and white, with a particular style that seems to be more towards old school systems, black and white illustrations with some sort of comic book influence, although the individual monster designs do tend towards something that you'd see in a cosmic horror or extraterrestrial style setting. Even in the new zine format, having the art separately available to use as handouts and token is really ideal, and it just goes a long way towards adding value to this product. In terms of the writing on the lore and ecology, it's actually relatively well thought out and is well written, although I did spot a few technical issues such as typos or incorrect word usage sprinkled throughout. Nothing that really detracts from the flow of things, but it can be noticeable to a stickler like me. Some of the creatures presented in these volumes seem to fit well with the creatures in the same volume or even other volumes, so there is sort of almost a cohesive mythos developed in some of the groups of creatures. The few criticisms that I do have about the content overall basically boil down to the fact that the monsters all stem from the same sort of aesthetic. And that can be really great if that aesthetic is going to really suit a game that you're going to run. Let's say you're running a Bloodborne-inspired game or something like that, or a game of cosmic horror, and that means you're probably going to be able to use a lot more of these than in other instances. There are, the dark fae and fiends that you can throw into a standard sort of campaign, but again, you're going to have that same aesthetic that you're looking for. If you're looking for something more fanciful and whimsical, you're probably going to want to look somewhere else. There's another complaint I do have, and it's not really, it's more me nitpicking, but there also is just a surplus of big four-armed brutes. They tend to have enough differences in the stats and abilities to set them apart, and they definitely have different lore, but if you want a big dude with 4 arms to just smack your party around, there's going to be several of them amongst these volumes. Individually, whether they're worth it for the price for you depends largely on whether you enjoy the aesthetic. I personally enjoy it. I have a few games that they're going to fit very well into, and even if I only use a few of the creatures presented, the various creature abilities and powers are going to be an interesting inspiration that goes well beyond those found in the basic monster manual. But if you look at the art and then you think you're probably not going to like that, or if you look at the art and you say, hey, I have no idea that I would use a creature like that, then the stats aren't going to change your mind. That art is pretty much reflective of how the creatures act, and all of the creatures have, they're not identical, but they all have that same sort of feel to them. So if you look at the art and say, hey, that's not going to fit in my game, probably not going to find many in the entire collection that are going to fit in your game. As far as the future of the series, I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. I would like to see more OSR variations of these things. I think that there is some work going on to convert more to OSR. I think there, in fact, may be OSR things on the Patreon site, which I will mention in a little bit. I would also like to see a compilation book of these, but I feel like that shouldn't really be a priority until there's at least 5 more of these quarterly volumes out. That way you'll get 10 times, that way you'll get about 130 creatures that you can go ahead and put in a single big volume. I feel like that would really be worth the effort. Until then, these little 13 creature volumes are not bad for the price. I will say that Jeremy Hart does have a Patreon that offers access to write-ups, stats, and artwork of the creatures, both in 5th edition and I believe in OSR style write-ups, as I suspect a lot of these creatures, if not all of them, in fact, I think all of them were taken from that patron site. So these are like compilations of what's already offered to his patrons. I will put links to where you can get both the Creature Feature quarterly products on DriveThruRPG, as well as a link to Jeremy Hart's Patreon, which is Jeremy Hart Illus, which I believe is the illustration point of things. And I'll put those in the description below. Anyway, if you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.